After an avoidant ends a relationship, whether it's by an abrupt discard or a slow fade out or any manner of breakup, it is very common for them to endlessly breadcrumb their partner. Breadcrumbing is when the avoidant sends little clues, little hints that they might still be interested or they might miss you, they might regret the breakup, but there's really no follow through. They might like your social media posts. They might watch your stories on Instagram or Facebook. They might occasionally reach out and say, "Hey, how are you?" Or even occasionally spend time with you. But, I'm not ready to commit back to the relationship. They're going hot and cold, sending little feelers here and there. And every time they send you the feelers, you get excited thinking that maybe now this is when they come back, they realize the mistake that they made, and they're ready to commit to the relationship again. But then when you try to engage and nail them down to commit to the relationship, they back off, they say they're not ready, or they just ghost and disappear altogether, only to return in a while, breadcrumbing again. When the avoidant does this, they are doing this for one primary reason, but there can be a secondary reason too. The primary reason is that they are validation seeking. They want to know that you still want them. They want to know that you are still an available option in their back pocket. Because when you validate them, when you reply to their breadcrumbing in a positive way, you are letting them know that you are still an available option, that they can have you back if they so choose, that they can pick you up out of that friend zone and put you right back in as a romantic partner. They feel wanted, they feel validated, they get that dopamine hit because, this person is still pining away from me. This person still wants me. Keep in mind, avoidants rely on external validation to feel good about themselves. This is a person that doesn't know how to internally validate themselves. They really need that external attention, that validation. And it goes back to childhood when this person was emotionally neglected by their parents or caretakers. They weren't given the love and the nurturing in the way that they needed. Their feelings were routinely dismissed. They weren't able to express themselves. The end result is a person that feels unlovable at their core, that they're defective, they're not worth loving. So a person that feels unlovable will seek external validation. When somebody shows them that they are desirable, that they are lovable, that's how they learn to feel better about themselves. But their same unhealed fears, their same unhealed triggers, their same unhealed attachment wounds still exist. They discarded you, they broke up with you because of their fears. Fears of emotional intimacy, fears of abandonment, fears of rejection, fears of engulfment. The fear of engulfment is the fear of losing themselves, losing their independence to somebody who is ultimately going to abandon and reject them. These fears were triggered. That's why they abruptly end a relationship. They know how to avoid. That's why they're called avoidants. So when their fears are triggered, rather than facing their fears, communicating, dealing with the problem, they avoid it, they suppress it, they suppress the emotions and run from the problem altogether. Those problems still exist even if they're missing their partner. So when their ex-partner confirms that they still want the avoidant, they still want to avoid those fears and those triggers, but they know that they're validated and they feel better about themselves. Now, the secondary reason why they can breadcrumb is that they genuinely do want to actually get back into a relationship, but they're so afraid of rejection that they can't reach out and won't let themselves reach out in a direct way, because rejection is really truly one of their core fears. They learned as a kid that if they express themselves, it leads to rejection, abandonment. So they stick their toe in the water in a very timid way to see if their ex will take the bait. Now, if you do, and they do get back together, those same unhealed fears, those same unhealed attachment wounds are still present. So the relationship is very, very likely to end and fail in the same manner all over again. Because this person is showing that they really haven't taken the initiative to really work on themselves, to heal, to take true ownership of their attachment wounds, of their behaviors in general. Now, if they're showing that they're committed to therapy, taking true ownership of their avoidant attachment, have a game plan to actually do different behaviors in a relationship, sure, in that case, there might be a difference and they might be able to sustain their relationship. But if they're only breadcrumbing and they're only giving little feelers, they're showing you that they haven't done the work, that they're not committed to the work, at least not at this point, and that they're just wanting that validation. And every time you give them that validation, it further encourages more breadcrumbing. Know your worth. This is a perfect opportunity for you to hold boundaries. Your boundaries are your limits of what you will and will not tolerate, what you want and don't want, and what you need and don't need. Now, it is perfectly okay to say, hey, I do care about you, but every time you reach out to me, it just reopens the wound. And I'm really trying to heal. So unless you are reaching out with a purpose of repairing what you broke, then please respect my need for space so I can heal. You don't have to allow the endless breadcrumbing. Because if they're not committing back to the relationship, and if you still do want to get back together with this person, the breadcrumbing is only going to cause you more pain. If you're looking to heal and move on and you don't want this person back, it still is a perfect opportunity to hold boundaries, because that breadcrumbing is still just going to torture you and it's going to help pull you into the trap of rumination, where you're endlessly thinking about the good memories you have with this person. Rumination is how you can stay stuck. So it's very important for you to respect yourself enough to hold boundaries and let this person know that this behavior is not okay. Because when the avoidant is breadcrumbing you, they are only thinking of themselves. They're only thinking of what their own needs, feelings, fears, and perceived desires are in the moment. They're not considering the impact that the breadcrumbing has on their ex, because they weren't considering the impact on their ex when they ditched their ex. They're still wrapped up in themselves, and it's due to their own insecurities. Now, when you actually hold a boundary, you're sending yourself a positive message that you have your own back, you can rely on yourself, and you can trust yourself. That is a very secure thing to do. Holding boundaries, even when it's hard, is one of the most secure things you can ever do in a relationship. You want to be securely attached? Start with boundaries.